Good evening everyone, welcome back to Virtual Pool 4 Online, and we've got about 4 minutes before this match is due to go. It's another match in this year's 10 Ball World Masters. It's a round 2 match. Albinario has just arrived and his opponent is Mr.Bill, who seems to have disappeared. He's probably going to do a restart on his computer. Oh no, there he is. Couldn't see him in amongst them, but he's there. Couple of things to cover before we start, or before the match starts. I went to check Virtual Pool 3 on Wikipedia, and because I wanted to double check what championships it was that Albinario had won, because he's a multiple virtual world champion in Virtual Pool, certainly in Virtual Pool 3, and some clever person has deleted the list of winners, probably about 10 years worth of tournaments, championships. They've gone off Wikipedia. I don't know what clever person did that, but maybe there's another page for Virtual Pool 3, but it's gone, the one that I searched for. Another thing to cover is last night's match. We had a match last night between Mr. Fox and Bedhead. Mr. Fox arrived in the lobby stating he had problems with the computer all day with the internet connection. Thought he's more than likely going to lose his connection. The match got to 5-1 to Bedhead and he lost his connection, and the time it took him to get back, then the match timed out and he was forfeited. Now there seemed to be some sort of agreement that they were going to get the match reset, but in order to do that they need to contact Tin, the event director, to do that. Both players need to do it, contact him directly. And the other thing is, there's been a couple of matches have been scheduled. There's one again, this is another one that's been rescheduled, and once again it's going to be late at night so that I can't stream it, and that's Moz and Jose, and that's in a couple of days time at 11 PM, 11:15 at night, and it is well, that's about 45 minutes earlier than what it was previously. Good evening. I was beginning to think no one was there. There's the match that we're going to be watching, and we also have another match scheduled between Larry and Acero, and that again is in a couple of days time, or is that a few days time, the 13th, at 3 PM in the afternoon. Again, that would be early morning for Larry, about 9 AM, round about that time, but it's at that time basically because Acero is in Japan, so it will be about 11 PM at night his time when this match starts, and I should be there to cover that one. And there is another one which is Moon, I think that's already been scheduled though, Mooncake and Sergresh, and they're going to go at 7 PM in a few days time as well. And then I think the last one is Spectre Dawn, which is 3 PM. Is that tomorrow? What's today's date? Is this the 8th? Oh, and wait a minute, this is the 9th, isn't it? Right, so that'll be tomorrow. So and that is going to be against Shaft Tracks, and I should have that one as well. Welcome everybody. Like I say, I don't know what's happened to Wikipedia, but it's disappeared, the list of tournaments, the championships that Albinario won. But he definitely is a multiple world champion. I think he won the snooker one twice, if my memory serves me correctly. I could be wrong in that, I'm not sure, but Albinario, well, according to Semi-Pro, he has been in and had a practice at some point, but let's be honest, he hasn't been here at all any time I've been online, so practice he gets must be few and far between, and we'll see if that is going to cost him as far as coming back to Virtual Pool 4. He's now an outcast. He's now he's now playing, whenever he gets time, he's playing on shooter's pool. He certainly doesn't come here on a regular basis anymore. So good evening to everybody. Good evening to anyone who may well have joined us from Pool Is Not Dead on Facebook. You're welcome. This is 10 ball. It's a race to 14 and the room is up. They may well have lagged off and have started, so I've been yabbering away there forgetting about it. Let me change the colour of the cloth. Race to 14 and it's a call shot game. Banks and combos should be called. No jump queues. They did lag for break and it's winner breaks. I think that about covers it. So let's see how this goes, whether Bill can put Albinario to shame for coming back. But it's Bill with first chance. Now does that 7 go? Let's have a look. I think the answer to that is no, so there might be some sort of billiard coming, or it could be a safety. And if he had gotten high enough in this 6 ball, he would have had the angle to break this ball out or make something happen, but he certainly is going to struggle to do that from where he's sitting at the moment. And I think he's going to be, is he going to be there? It's unlucky. Just about 2 inches too far, and he would have been perfect on that 7 ball. It was a very, very tight window to get the cue ball decent on it. Well, the 10 ball can be used as a stopper, so if Albinario wants to get distance, he can do that. He's looking to play the billiard, but obviously with the 7 ball being lower than the 10, it doesn't bode well for this to be a good combo. He's going to have to hit it hard, I think, to keep that cue ball in line. Yeah, difficult. Good evening. Well, this is tough for a couple of reasons. The pot is tough, and getting a shot in the 8 is just as tough. Well, that 8 ball is fairly close to the side rail, but there isn't a lot to be done provided Albinario can get on it good, because the 9 goes past the 10, and I think that will probably be good enough. Just a straight in kill on this cue ball. Doesn't want to try and do anything more than that, and it's just a drop in the 9, so it looks like Albinario is going to get off the mark. Yeah, Stubb will go quiet if we leave him alone. He'll go back to sleep. So Albinario breaking off Rack 2, what we lost, 5 ball is gone. So a little tuck on this 1 ball will have Bill in trouble. Now is he going to call the 8? It looks like the most obvious one. Looks good. Unlucky. Had a pretty good line, but the end result is it's reasonably safe. 2 balls going nowhere where it is, so just another tuck along the rail here I think for Albinario. Now this time, if Bill can't see the one, which he can't, he's looking to do the same thing and get the kick, and hopefully if he gets it right, for his sake, it's going to brush in off that 8 ball. It's a bit of a tall order. Now, what does he have here? He could just push behind the 1 and leave the cue ball behind the 10 and the 4. He's looking to make the combo in the 4. The cue ball's going to obviously go left and the 1 ball's going to go right, so he's going to have to hit this firm to hopefully get the 1 ball into play. Well, the 1 ball has stalled right next to the 10 and it goes, so that's a good result. And well, if he can get around behind the 2, he'll have the combo, as long as he doesn't go too far around, because he might block himself with a 6 ball. Just a wee bit short. Probably the billiard would be the easiest shot onto the 8. He's going to be pushing the 2 towards this bottom rail. If he doesn't hit it too hard, he'll still have a shot in the 2. But he looks as if he's calling the 2 and going to use the 8 to keep the cue ball in play. Hasn't called the billiard onto the 8, so it's going to be either the safety or all out for the cut. He said, look at the 3, so he's going for it, but it hasn't gone safe, and Bill has a chance to get into the match, get on the scoreboard. Oh, well, he's hung it, and he's got to take these. Good opportunities might be few and far between, and when you get them, you've got to nail them. So the issue is how to deal with this 6 ball. And it looks, well, I think he's gone straight. He may well just stun this quite firm to bring the cue ball over to the left, and as far left as he can go, because then he'll have a straight 6-8 combo. And he's looking as if he's putting a fair bit of spin on it, unless you're going to try and come around. Well, he's doing what I'm thinking, getting it as straight as he can. Not quite as straight as he would like, but he's lining up for the combo. Now Now again, it probably is going to have to be dead weight so that 6-ball doesn't escape anywhere safe. Strange things happen when you play these shots. If you get the pace wrong, and that will do. So the crucial one, 9 to the 10, and it looks fairly simple in all honesty, because he just needs to chip the 9, use the angle to bring that cue ball more than likely down the left side. Let's have a quick look. Well, it's sitting not quite on the point. So the odds are this is coming down the left hand side. So it's all about pace, and he wants to, if anything, he wants to underhit it, so he's just about past the middle pocket. If he gets a bit too juicy here, he can run low in the 10. I think his pace looks pretty good, and that will do very nicely indeed. So the mistake from Mr. Bill on that thin cut in the 2 in the bottom left hand corner has cost him dear, and Bill has to reciprocate next chance he gets from Albinario. He has to put it away to let him know he's in the game. So 2-0 with the break, of course. Two ball tracking, and it goes, and just what you would like, a shot in the 1, but the 3 is the problem now. The 3 is definitely a big issue to get on it. If you can get right down the bottom end here, you've got it in the middle, but again, that shot in the 1 ball is going to be difficult to get there. There's traffic in the way as well. He's found a gap, but he hasn't got the weight. Needed another foot on that, and he would have had that cut into the middle. And of course, with the 4 ball being at the top end, that would have been ideal to get down onto the 4. Now again, he could go for an elaborate billiard onto the 9. He's having a look at it, and then he's looking, he might be just looking at the snooker. It looks a reasonable chance for a billiard onto the 9, but it is a bit ambitious. You're just riding your luck with that type of shot just to keep you at the table. Might be a bit early to be trying that. He hasn't called it, so looking for the safety and looking to hide the cue ball, and he's weighted that pretty good as far as I can see. That's excellent. That's got Bill in bother. There is the angle to get there though. He could hit it direct, but more likely to be 2 rails if he can get the kick. But that 4 ball may well act as a stopper again, and it's taken the weight off the 3 ball, and that was always going to be the danger. And so Albinario has an open invitation to help himself to a 3-0 lead here. So 3 ball and back for the 4. Now he could drop down and use the 8 ball as a stopper. I don't know whether that angle's good. Yes, it is good, but it might be, I don't think he's got much room to pinch anything here to get really down towards the 8 ball for that 5 into the middle. Well, he's going to leave the cut. Wasn't risking running through to get on the 5, so he's got plenty of room with the angle he's got to come around the corner and out for the 6. He certainly doesn't want to run into the 6 if he can help it. Is he trying to draw across? Nope. And he's avoided it. Yes, he did. Albinario never got a sniff in that match. Yeah, that would have been the semi-final, the first to 35, because the final was the first to 41 back in the day. Yep. The virtual 9-ball World Championships, when I run them, was a first to 21 in the first round. And then every round after that up to the semi-finals was the first to 31. The semi-final the first to 35. And the final the first to 41. That's what we're talking as far as match goals go. And we had some great matches in semi-finals and finals where, you know, one player was dead and buried for like 10 racks, and then he would come back. I think Larry was involved in one of them. I just wish I was recording back at that time. Mind you, it'd be pretty crappy to look at it, but it'd have been good to have something like that archived. Those days are gone. And Bill is going to have to get shaped up here. No, I don't use OBS. For the purposes of this, if you haven't read into all the different software, I mean, OBS is a freeware thing, and it's like a freeware version of XSplit Broadcaster. So if you watched any of the snooker that I streamed, I was using Broadcaster because with that you can do the presentation stuff. You can put in the little titles thing that I created. You can add web pages, you can do all sorts, you can add titles, you can add the clock, the game, the match timer and all of that stuff. Gamescaster doesn't do that, and Gamescaster's what I like using for Virtual Pool 4, simply because I like to use my little doodle. It comes in handy for this game, and Gamecaster's very simple to use, but it's limited in what you do as far as presentation. I mean, I can put the Masters logo at the bottom of the screen, and I can put the webcam on the screen, but I can't put anything else, and that's fine. That's bare bones. And if anybody wants to do anything simply, XSplit Gamecaster does that. Broadcaster's the more substantial version of the same thing. I've got both. I paid for both of them because when I had the demo version of Gamecaster, I liked it, so I bought it, and I've had it for a few years. But Bill, well, we all know what Bill needs to do here. He doesn't need to be told. He has to simply get this away and get off and running. Well, provided both players contact Tin, because I spoke to Tin this afternoon and explained the whole situation, and Tin needs to be contacted via the internal messaging in Virtual Pool 4. So you type in the name of the person that you're trying to contact, and it should search and find Tin. So that's TIN, and then is it 000S, and send him a message saying that you want the match reset. It will be reset on the bracket, and it will be reset to 0-0, but both players then have to, well, the simplest way to do it is to just 3 foul in 5 racks and 3 foul in 1 rack, so the scoreboard is right, rather than trying to keep a tab on what the score is. Plus, if anybody comes in after the match is restarted, things get confusing for people watching it. So nothing will happen unless both players send a message to Tin to get that fixed. He can reset the match, but he won't do it until he gets notification, not just from one player but from both. Meanwhile, the most important thing here is that Bill is getting himself off the mark, and of course doing that wins back the break. And a ball as well on the break. Now how's his luck? Well, he's going to have a difficult one. The 8 ball has gone, and of course it's even more difficult when the 10 ball went in as well, and of course the 10 ball gets respotted. Well, you won't do that for tournaments, because that involves the possibility of cheating and various stuff, so you won't do that. And to be honest with you, if he wanted to do stuff like that, he would have done it long before now, so it won't happen. Well, it's not exactly dead safe, this 1 ball. That can be cut, and the 2 ball is sitting there waiting to be potted, so Albinario is bound to be on the 2. And this is another good opportunity, so not the best outcome for Bill there. In fact, I never noticed, I was reading the chat, did Bill play a safety or did he go for the cut in that 1 ball? Somebody must have been watching and paying attention. But already Bill's looking at 4-1 again, or a 3 rack deficit from this visit. He cut the 1, right, so it was a tough shot, and playing it softish like that, the 1 ball was never going to escape too far from that corner pocket, so that's why Albinario is now looking to be 4-1 in front. Has to be careful though here, he has to make sure he either finishes on the low left side of this 9 as we look, or he runs right up the table for the 6 ball on the right hand side. He's going to finish on the top side, but it's a good angle to get down on the 7. Shouldn't be any problem here. Where's the cue ball though? I think he's okay. I was panicking there. I think he's fine. So this is the one that will decide it. Getting good on the 9. Well, he could push through in the 9 and just check the cue ball with left hand English, just to check it straight. He could go around the angles and come down to the bottom half of the table for the 10 into the middle. He may well be looking at that option. But when you start putting side or English on the cue ball, that's when things can go astray. So he's played the simpler shot and getting around the angles and getting low enough to make this cut. And this is going to have to go to the far jaw to make sure it's going to drop. But this for 4-1, and then it goes. Well, a good solid break from Albinario, but no joy from it. Now let's have a quick look here. Well, there's nothing needs to be moved here. The 4-ball goes, no problem there. And if Bill can get out and find the gap here, he's got the 2-10 combo. Well, he's got to get this every day of the week. I mean, this isn't set, but he would need to have a serious accident not to get this 10-ball in. It's just about picking the line right through to make that cut. So he's going to have to cut it away slightly just to make the cut in the 10. Oh, he got it far too thin. Well, again, I don't know whether he spent an awful lot of time looking at that, but I thought it wasn't that difficult. It's all about just setting yourself up and picking that line through the object ball to make that cut angle, and it's a chance gone. And I don't think anything's changed at the top end of the table. Nothing's changed there, so Albinario can just drop the 3 in, and as long as he doesn't go too far, well, he's playing it dead weight, so he wasn't even going to be messing with that 8-ball. Now, can he get a softish draw and a little spin to come down past the 9-ball? Yeah, just a little soft draw there, and that will do. Can just see the 5-ball. Now the problem here is he's going to try, I mean, he'll probably chip the 10-ball here. I don't know whether he can get this clean. He's still okay. Well, I have to say, from what I've seen so far, I don't see many chinks in Albinario's armoury here. And 4-1, the alarm bells are ringing already in this match. But as I've said before, the important thing at 4-1 is not to start panicking and start taking liberties and being over aggressive. You told me what earlier? Oh, about Albinario. Right, well, you see, I reserve my judgment until I see someone, you see. But Albinario's finding his weight a shot, which is one of the most important things and the most obvious thing in any game, is getting that weight a shot, which will give you good position more often than not. And it's now going to be 5-1. So Bill's going to need all of his experience as well as a bit of assistance here, I think, to get back into this match. And another ball in the break. It looked like the 9 has gone. It certainly has. And once again, this is a good break. I mean, these balls are sitting perfect. So it's only going to be an unforced error that's going to take this rack away from Albinario. I think he's dead straight in the 2 though, but he can pinch a little angle or just draw it back. I mean, he can do whatever he wants. There's no major problem there. So as far as we can see, there's been 2 errors that I can count from Bill. That cut in the 2 down in this bottom left hand corner, and that long 1 ball that he missed. That's 2 unforced errors that we can count. Other than that, Bill's not really had a sniff yet. I would say this as well about Albinario, and quite a lot of people in virtual pool who've been around long enough would agree that Albi's probably the best all-round player, and by that I mean 3 cushion, snooker, 9 ball, 10 ball, 8 ball. He's pretty damn good in all of them, and he's probably about the best all-round player that you're likely to see in those games. And of course, he was the dirty Swedish bastard that robbed me of winning the Virtual World Snooker Championship. Not that I've, not that I bear any grudges against the guy. Well done to him. I mean, but the fact that I'll never forgive him's immaterial. I still wake up with cold sweats. I've almost got over it. Yeah, but you see, the big difference is, Stub, and if you were man enough you would admit it, that in Virtual Pool 3 you could cut the ball from anywhere, and you could get the cue ball to do an awful lot more in Virtual Pool 3 than you can in Virtual Pool 4, and so that was to your advantage. Where you've been found out in this game is your major problem is getting that cue ball running properly and getting it under control, and that's why you've been found out against the guys that do have the better control, which is also the reason why you haven't won any of these big tournaments. VP3, I mean, VP3, if you were playing Cowboy, how many times do people put a lot of top spin in the ball, and the cue ball would do all sorts of crazy stuff? And you just can't do that with the physics in Virtual Pool 4, and that limits Stubbs' talent. Well, it's a grim looking scoreline for Bill. But Bill's prayer has been answered again, but the table is pretty ugly looking. I mean, I wouldn't rate his chances in running this table very much. He's going to have to do something. And that's the other frustrating thing about being 6-1 behind. There's that part of it in the scoreboard, and then there's the other part of it when you get a chance like this with ball in hand. The table is not pretty, and there's a major issue here at the bottom of the table. Well, he's looking to presumably create something here that'll allow him to try and disturb these balls, but how he's going to do that, I don't know, because when you consider that he's got the one ball, the two ball in the side rail that he can get to, he's played the breakout, taken a chance, and now he's no shot, and that's the problem. And what's more is he's now opened up and freed those balls for Albinario, and now he's got a far-fetched kick here, called the 6, but well, there's a slim chance of getting a good outcome here, because if he doesn't get something safe, Albinario is just going to pounce. Good evening, Linus, welcome aboard. Apologies because Stubbs here. Six ball has been called. Bill's taking his time, trying to get as best a line as he can onto this two ball, and then hoping for the best. Oh dear, yep, he's definitely gone, and he's probably playing on that laptop again, is he not? Is that not what he does play on at work? But that was a quick recovery. Now you see, Mr. Fox, that's how you disconnect and reconnect to VP4. Well, he's got the hit in the two ball. Is he going to get a bit of luck? I think he is. Now Albinario I don't think he can get to the rail to kick this, so it's ended up a good outcome at the moment for Mr. Bill. Well, there's no gap there to get to that two ball, and in all honesty, where the two ball is with the 5, it's not set as a combo. But again, the other thing is thinking about maybe trying to tie something up again. He's looking for the gap between the 7, or trying to feather the edge of that too. I mean, we're talking a cigarette paper. Yeah, he just clipped to 5, but that's still a very good outcome, because, well, the two balls tied up, but it's an easy billiard onto the 6. Got to make sure though that somehow the two ball comes into play and he's going to have a shot. Well, he's played it gentle, and well, that two ball has to be sent. Well, he's not risking it, trying to run for cover, and well, this Albinario, that surely is not, no, that's not going to cut at that angle. Can use the 5 ball for the stopper, come back up the right hand side, try and get as long as he can. Well, he's missed the 5, and I think Bill can see enough to try and do a similar thing here. Just clip the edge of the 2, feather it if he can with a bit of side spin, and get up into that far corner. Well, that's the worst shot of the night so far, because Bill did not go through with the cue stick there. And that's as if he's using one of the touch pads on as a mouse mat, as the mouse on a laptop. That shot, that was pretty poor. What ball's that there? Is that the 8? Yes, it is. Well, there's loads of room to come down for the 5. He's just going to have to chip the 5 and help this cue ball back over to the left hand side as we look well away from anything that's going to hinder him getting to the 7. And he's overcooked that a wee bit. And now, well, if he's going to take his medicine, he's just going to cut the 7 and go over to the left. I don't think it's worth risking trying to do an awful lot here other than get it in the hole and get across to the left hand side. So this is the one. The wrong angle on the 8 ball to help him get to the 9. So he's going to either go tightly round 2 rails or go wide round the 2 rails, so he finishes up in the top corner and ends up taking the 9 long into this bottom right. If he goes tight, he'll come back across, risking a scratch into the right middle for the 9 into the top right. That'd be the way I would see it. And in the end, he's sort of done neither. So he's finished in no man's land. That was a sort of intermediate shot that doesn't really get you there, but it's still a thin cut. It's well off the rail, so you can cheat the pocket a bit with this shot, and he should be across the table and back out for the 10. And now this is looking a bit grim for Bill, and he didn't help the situation there with that mess up on his last visit to the table. So it's well, what we had earlier was a mini crisis at 4-1. It's now a major crisis at 7-1. And like I said as well, Bill can only help himself, but he needs the assistance of Albinario, and he's got a chance because the 1 I think goes past the 4. Yes, it does, but he's had a lash at that. And again, I said it's important you don't start to panic and start to get too aggressive trying to create something. You have to be patient. Okay, you might not get the chance, but you certainly don't want to be assisting your opponent. And the way things are going, that's exactly what Bill's done there, and in the last rack. Here's another chance, albeit not a great one considering where the 3 ball is, top end of the table. And again, it's tight to get to that too. I think he can get there. Needs a little help here. Where's the cue ball going? Well, that's one of these cutbacks you don't like, because in your head you're thinking about taking evasive action, risking running this plain ball for fear of scratching into the middle pocket, and then it makes the shot that more difficult because you're behind the ball. So it's a chance gone, and Albinario We'll just be gently feathering this 3 ball with a bit of spin just to pop out to the left, I would think. It doesn't go past the 5 ball obviously into the left middle, but if he just helps it out over to the left, he should have the shot into the right middle. And every ball is on. Well, Bill has been on and off all day getting practice for this 10 ball, but it hasn't done him any good. Now this is the one that involves a little draw, so a little dig down, has to get it sweet, and then it goes. So staring 8-1 in the face here. It is going to be a long, hard road for Bill to get respectability in this match. But it also lets people know that Albinario is here to compete. He is not to be trifled with if whoever bumps into him. Now, is there an edge of that one shown? Not really. Oh, sorry guys, wrong button. Well, that's your main objective, is just getting that ball safe. And once again, these balls are spread pretty good. Well, they'll settle for that. But Albinario can tuck him behind the 6 and 7 here. And mission accomplished. And no angle to get from that side. And already this is a crucial shot in the rack. Another hit and hope. And once again, the result is good. And you get the sense that somehow in this rack at 8-1 down, Bill is just clinging on with his bare fingertips here. He needs something to happen fast, big time. I mean, what we're talking about here is winning this rack and breaking and running a couple of racks to follow if he can, to give him a glimmer of hope. But this time he hasn't got the cover and the 2's wide open, the 3's over this corner at the bottom here, the 5 is there. Now the 6 could just be a wee bit awkward. It could end up in a high cut to get that 6 ball put away, but other than that there's not really much else. The 4 ball's going to be taken out on that left side rail. That opens up the corner pocket for the 8, so there's only one issue. Albinario's got the angle, and I think he certainly needs to get high on the 5, but he doesn't need to get too high. He'd much rather just roll the 5 in and drop through for the 6. That would be the ideal shot. So, and that's gone wrong big time. What am I talking about? I'm forgetting about the 4. Shut your face, you're falling asleep already. I'm so busy looking at how to overcome this problem down at this bottom end here and forgetting about the 4, and I mentioned the 4 earlier on there and totally forgot about it in the space of 30 seconds. Well, the angle's there, the one I like playing, a bit of right hand side, punch the 4 in, 1, 2, 3 rails, and find the gap between the 9 and 10. 1, 2, well 3 that is. And again, he's just short. He would have, the ideal shot there would have been getting to there for that, because you roll it in and you've got the 6. So now he's going to have to work the cue ball. Trying to hold it as best he can. Decided that he's going to try and make this combo, and this is really, well, it looks like Bill's only lifeline here if Albinario can't take this out. In fact, he's probably not. It looks to me that he's going to nail him to the 7. And that's exactly what to do. Don't take the risks when you don't need to. Put all the pressure on the opponent, and that's what I'm talking about. If you're going to do that, get it tight, because you immediately cut down lots of angles available to get that kick. And Bill's clutching at straws here. And Albinario is duly rewarded with ball in hand to take this out. So pot the 6, roll the 7 in, get to the rail, make sure you've got a clean shot in the 8, and he's inside the 8, so the angle is perfect just to go through. It's risky to play the stun, so much easier to roll it through and roll the cue ball through. When you start stunning to stun the cue ball out across to the right middle pocket, then you're more than likely to rattle that ball in the pocket. So he's doing all the right things. Well, I think well, all those score predictions are out the window. It's now 9-1 to Albinario, and what's more, he's getting balls in the break all over the place, albeit he's not sitting pretty in the 1. But on that break we've lost the 2, the 3, the 4 and the 9. The 1 cuts past the 10. He can draw off it for the 2 into the other right hand corner pocket, as long as he gets past the 6 ball. He's done that. You're watching someone who has got pretty much everything under control with the cue ball, getting it to where he wants it to be. Now he can afford to go right up the table here, make sure he's in the top half, and that'll do. It's not quite there, but he's got nothing to do other than drop the 7 in. Either come straight up the left hand side for the 8 into this bottom right, or come behind the 8. He's got the choice of what he prefers. He's given himself 2 options here, both work. Well, Albinario is an hour in front of me, so it's coming up to 11 PM his time. Well, he's wanting to make sure he's in bed before midnight, and the way he's going right now, he'll be in bed before 1:15. Yes, the reschedule should be open, so you just do the same again, just send him a proposal. I don't know how, is it shown on the bracket that it's reset at 5-1? He's maybe reset the match, but I don't think you can reset it with a match score. Oh, I can guarantee there won't be many people that haven't watched the stream will go and watch somebody who knows what they're doing play. That's half the problem with a lot of virtual pool players. They don't want to absorb information. So he set it to 5-1. Well, that's a new thing. Now, I hope Stubbs still watching this, because how many times has Albinario had to bang a ball? Not very often. And the true proof of that is by getting good position. When you start having to bang balls to get the cue ball to do things, half the problem with that is not getting the cue ball to the proper place or the proper spot in the first place. Well, the mistake's been made there, but Bill's got away with it for once. Well, the 5 ball is going to be Albinario's safety net. The 5 ball will go, it's just obviously in an awkward spot, but you've got to get pretty tight here in the rail for that to go. No problem with the kick, but Albinario certainly doesn't want to kick the 4 ball hard, that it's going to run into the 5 and 9 and open up the table. That's the one thing he needs to be sure of. Well, he's called the pocket, trying to kick it across just in case. Well, this isn't a shot you want to be taking on to try and get on the 5. I mean, that the 4 ball goes. But the cue ball's going to have to find a very narrow window, and I think Bill has found it. He's just got there, and if he can get through and just come out and find the gap between the 9 and 7, he's got a chance. And that's what I hate about shooter's pool. You can't get your chin down in the table to look at an angle. My argument with the developers of that game was, but in real life you can. In real life, if you want to stick your chin on the table to look at a shot, you can do that. But you can't do that in shooter's pool. Well, Bill, whatever you do here, make sure you roll the 9 in and you roll through far enough to get this 10 ball straight. You don't want one of these testy cuts. So Bill now, the major goal here is looking for some sort of respectability in the scoreline. So he's breaking off in rack number 13. Something's gone. The 2 and the 4, a shot and the 1. 5 ball is open now. Has he got enough to be able to draw across? I think he can hold it. Where's the cue ball though, Bill? Oh dear. Well, that is the ultimate disaster, and your hopes are sunk with that shot. Just when you've won a rack, just when you've had a half decent break, and then he goes and scratches in the middle pocket. Now again, I'd totally forgotten about the 3 ball. I'm missing balls on the table here because my brain's shutting down. Well, I think most would agree that it's only a matter of time before this is done and dusted. It's going to need an almighty miracle for Bill to come out of this with a positive result. We're talking a serious comeback, and basically Albinario is going to have to fall apart big time. So nice little angle. Maybe could have done with a bit more, but he can stun it just over to the left while he's going around the angles to get out. And again, the pace is there, so he's sitting plumb on this 10 ball. Well, nothing you can do but hold your hand up. Mistakes from Albinario, well, I haven't been counting them, but I know there hasn't been many more than 2. And what you would say could be genuine mistakes. Opportunities that Albinario has had have been put away time after time. But there is the mistake there. Commentator's curse. We'll count that as the 3rd mistake by Albinario. But can Bill take this out? Again, that is not ideal wrong side of this 5 ball, meaning he's having to just do stuff with the cue ball. And that's him back in shape. But it's a wee bit of travelling to get this cue ball from the 8 back to the 10. Sorry, not the 8, the 8 back to the 9. And he has to get pretty straight in this so that it makes it all simple. Well, we'll give him this. But that, as I mentioned earlier, Bill needs to take the chances he gets, whatever they may be, but he also needs the assistance of Albinario. He's had it there and he's taken the chance, and now he's praying for the ball on a break and a shot. He needs to run a couple of racks if he can. It's a tall order because there's not a lot of balls going to break in this game, not very often, and that's yet another one that's come up dry. But this time Bill hasn't left anything for Albinario, so Albi's thinking on where the push should be. If he pushes bottom side of the table here, then it's an easy safety for Bill. He can lock Albinario up, so you just got to spend a wee bit of time thinking about where he should put the cue ball. And he's just tried to create a cluster there just to make it awkward. He's left Bill a shot in the 1, albeit not easy. I don't know whether he can in fact, it's not easy at all. He's looking to see the cut angle on this to squeeze it into the middle. Yeah. And where's the cue ball going? Well, again, Bill's just chanced his arm again, and well, he's left Albi a chance, but obviously what he's looking at the moment is where can he get this cue ball to have a shot in the 3. I don't think he's going to be having much of a great opportunity on it. Oh, I think there was no doubt we know Albinario is solid. No doubt about that. But this is going to be a test. Now, does he think he can squeeze that to cheat the pocket and get it in? And it is a foul. Yeah, I think he was just taking a wee bit of liberty there because it didn't look really on. But Bill is getting that bit of assistance that he needs. The 5 ball is the big issue. It's going to have to be that awkward cut. If he can get on this 6 ball, he has a chance. It needs to bounce. He's going to have to play the bank. Not what he would want to do, but he could play for cover here. I mean, there's a perfectly good safety shot on here. He can hide down behind the 7, set that 6 ball somewhere behind the 8 and 9. Well, that'll do. Or will it? I think Albi can go. I think he can just get between them to punch that 6, but I don't think he's going to risk that because the 6 is only going to go around the corner around the angles and head back down to this bottom right hand corner where the 7 is. Well, it looks as if that's what he's trying to do. But watch where the 6 ball finishes. It's going to onto the rail. Well, he'll settle for that, but I don't think Bill can refuse the reverse bank here. The reverse bank is good. Got to call it. So this is all or nothing. Where's the cue ball going though? It needs to slow up. Well, I think he's gone too far. He's let it run loose. And it might be all to no avail here. He's going to have to get the kick and just hope. Well, where it's going at the moment is reasonably safe. This is so difficult. I mean, you can play the safest shot is a negative safety, just rolling onto the 7 to the bottom rail. It's not an ambitious shot, but in all honesty, if you don't want to be taking a risk, you just roll it onto the 7. Bill's called the pocket, so it's all out again, and that's what happens. He could have just rolled up to the 7, which I would have probably done. Well, I've got a brilliant idea, Stub. You know what you should do? Just go into the room and watch it there. Put it to whatever colour you like. There you go. There's a bit of tactical advice, tactical viewing advice. How about that? Well, Bill, should he have played the negative safety? I think he should. I think you should use everything available to you to try and keep yourself in the match. The all-out bank on the 7. Well, the end result was inevitable. It's now 12-3. Two ball tracking in, but it's hanging. And Bill comes to the table. And there's a problem ahead. The problem immediately is from the 2 to the 3, because it obviously doesn't go past the 4. It has to get this side, which is done. And the lower he can go, the easier it is to hold for the 4, and that's not low enough. And the other problem is up by the 8 and 9. And this is how Stubb clears a table. What Bill's doing at the moment, not getting the right position and having to play high cuts and the cue ball running. This is what Stubb does most of the time. And then he wonders why he hasn't won any of these big tournaments, because he's up against guys who do move the ball better. All these high cuts and the cue ball running all the time, at some point you're going to run out. You're going to run out of shots. Bill's just trying to get himself back into some kind of shape here, and this is a shot that will do it. But he's going to have to get something on this 7 ball that's going to allow him to either move the 8 and hope he still has a shot, or drop behind it. And this isn't it. This is where you're then just stretching and reaching to try and get a shot, and he was trying to hold for the cut again on the 8, and that's how you run out of shape eventually. If you keep running out of shape and the further out of line you go, you're going to end up with a bad outcome. Now Albinario can play or leave a similar shot for himself here. If he can just get back out to the right and into the middle of the table, he'll have the 8-ball cut. But again, he's playing a tighter line to get right into the 8-ball rather than out in the middle of the table, and there's the big difference. Well, it's on the hill for Albinario with this 10-ball. Now again, at the end of this we'll have one quick look at the bracket just to see where the next match is. I think it's Spectre Dawn's match is going to be the next one, unless something constructive happens between Mr. Fox and Bedhead, but that probably won't be tonight. So anyway, Albinario leads by 13 racks to 3 in this race to 14. Well, that's good. If that's the case, then I'll rethink my plans about going to bed then. So Mr.Bill at the table, all balls available, and last chance saloon, and he's tripped at the saloon door, I'm afraid, but might have got away with it. Although Albinario might be enticed into playing the combo here. It looks not too bad, this 4-6 combo into the middle. He's sitting in a good position with a good line to take this out. He hasn't called it yet. There wasn't much doubt. Now, thin cut over to the left, wide open pastures on the left hand side of the table. I don't think he's going to be hindered too much with that 10-ball. But this match is over. Well, you've actually got bored with quite a few big tournament matches you've been in, Stub. I've noticed that about you. Oh, well, Moz, you'll be the favourite for that match with Jose. He'll be like me. He'll make far too many mistakes. So Albinario has come back with a bang. He is here, and he's here to win. It wasn't flawless, but it was pretty damn close. Albinario runs out big time by 14 racks to 3. and Bill is way off the mark and is going to have to do things the hard way, but I don't think Bill will be looking forward to bumping into Albinario anywhere later in the tournament, because he's going to have a few battle scars if he gets that far, and so will anybody else who comes across him. So what we'll do, we'll have a quick look at the bracket, just a quick reminder, and we will see where the hell is that match went to. Is it up the bracket here? Where did it go? Oh, well, I've been up and down the bracket and I can't see Albinario. Where the hell is he gone? Oh, there he is. Right, so Albinario through to round 3, and well, Albinario is lying in wait for the winner of the match between Moz and Jose, but it's odds on favourite Moz to be meeting Albinario. No disrespect to Jose, but Jose's not going to have the game to extend to 14 racks, so it should be on paper those two meeting up in round 3. And meanwhile, semi-pro lying in wait on the match between Mr. Fox and Bedhead, which is scheduled, what time's that? Well, it's scheduled to go right now, folks, so we will wait. Somebody's fallen asleep in that tournament room, so if there's any it's probably Steve. Did he not come into the room? He's probably in there and gone and fallen asleep. And the room is up with Bedhead and Mr. Fox. Bedhead is in. And both players are now in, and a reminder that this is a continuation of last night's match between Mr. Fox and Bedhead. Now, the weird thing is that the score has been set on the bracket, but the match score is 0-0. So now I've got to keep remembering what the bloody score is. I thought it would have been set in the game. It's only set in the bracket, so that's getting me even more confused. So somebody's going to have to sit there with a pen and paper just to add these up, or I'll lose the place. Now what they're going to do, well, they're deciding to do what I suggested. It's just 3 foul and lose the racks and get the score to 5-1, and then everybody keeps their head. So this will go on for a couple of minutes until they've got the scoreboard right. Well, anybody tuning in right now will think this is Bangers Anonymous Virtual Pool 4. So Bedhead quickly into a 2-0 lead. I played 10 ball today, and what was the room? Was it Bill, Spectre, Don? Who else was in it? And I think I played 5 racks, never got a sniff in one of them. I know my limitations. That's what I typed and then I left the room. Well, that's why I like playing Cowboy, because I know I've got a fair chance in Cowboy. That's why I like playing it. It took me a while to get more used to the 10-foot table. I mean, I find the 9-foot table too easy with Cowboy now. So I'd much rather play it in a 10-footer. And would never ever go back to, you know, the normal Cowboy. Because if we did that, we'd just be running to 90 and then scratching. Right, so the score is now at 4-0. Now once the score gets to 5-1 in favour of Bedhead, we'll then be off and running, and we'll have the proper continuation of the match. And needless to say, Mr. Fox already has a mountain to climb. Now, what was the discussion there in the chat where we deciding whose break it was? Well, we're now at 5-1, and well, it looks like Mr. Fox is the one who's breaking. We're into rack 7, and again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but for anybody who's joining, the tournament rules are, no, the score's right now. Look at the score in the bracket on the HUD. The score's now correct. They don't need to get to anything particular, but they just need to get to 14. We're not doing it that arithmetically way. We're doing it the plain and simple way. Just get the scoreboard right, and that keeps everybody right. Anybody who's watching and anybody who joins. Yeah, it's 10 ball. It's a call shot game. Banks and combos should be called. It's winner breaks and no jump cues. Well, I don't know, was Bedhead watching the stream? I didn't see him appear in the chat in the stream, but he should have been having a look in on how well Albinario was playing. But that is the standard you have to be playing at in this tournament if you're going to progress. The standard of the control of the cue ball, potting the balls, getting shape, and once all of those things fit into place, you're the potential winner of the tournament. And so that has been the most impressive performance so far. It's 5-1 because these two guys started playing last night, and Mr. Fox was having internet issues. Suffice to say, he got disconnected and he didn't get back in time, and so the match forfeited him. But both players agreed to have the match reset so that they could finish it properly, which is where we are now. And that is also providing that Mr. Fox's internet problems have been resolved. So from this position, Mr. Fox has a task in hand immediately, and that's by trying somehow to reduce this deficit and make a match out of this, or this could very easily head the same way as Albinario and Mr. Bill just done. But Mr. Fox is going to get his chance here, and No, it's going in break order from when the match started last night. Mr. Fox has to take this rack out. He's got a wide open table and he must do the job. There's no excuse. He has to do it. If he's making unforced errors with these opportunities, he's got no chance. He has to get this done. Nothing short of success in this rack will do. Now it could so easily go wrong here because the angle just brings this cue ball over to the left, and with that 9 and 10 ball there, that's always a worry. If you just let the cue ball go across, well, he's got loads of spin on it to get the cue ball out, but he's now gone to that awkward area. An awkward cut. And these pockets won't give you anything. And his chance may well have just gone right there. And that's the pressure of having to, you've got to dish up the goods at this level now. This is just off straight, but you want to push through. Can you push through without running into that knuckle? That's the question. Yeah, he's managed to avoid that, but he's always going to end up there. So there is a lifeline here for Mr. Fox, because Bedhead, well, is he going for the cut? I think it's far easier to play that with left-hand English, just thin cut it and get it down the length of the table like that for safety. So once again, common sense prevails. Now the bank is on. And of course, he only gets one shot at it. It's got to go in. There's no double banking in this game. Now, cue ball has held up well. Let's have a look at it from his end. Well, I don't see what the problem is. I would tend to want to play this with a wee bit of inside right to just go through and make sure to come up to the right, or you can put a little bit of left hand to try and kick up the left hand side, because it's a wider area to go into. In the end, he's stunned it, and this, yeah, he's going to have to take it in the middle, because if he played it long, he's interfering with that middle pocket with the cue ball. So it's the cut into the middle. Well, he can breathe a sigh of relief. Got the deficit down to 3 and needs a ball and a shot. And that's what never happened for Bill in that match. He never never got any opportunity to get into any rhythm by getting a sequence of balls over any period of time, and then chances he did get either missed him, went out of line, and it cost him severely. Now looking at this lay of balls here, from the 3 to the 4 there's not a problem, and the other thing is the 5's at the same end of the table as the 4, and this is a good opportunity to run out again, as long as you mind your work, as one commentator used to say, and I'll tell you who that commentator was, and most of you won't even know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about a snooker commentator, 10 times world snooker champion John Pillman. And I mean, we're talking pre-1970s. He was winning world championships back in the 50s, and that was probably long after. Oh, where's the cue ball going? Oh, that's a disaster. Utter and total disaster, considering the way these balls were set. All just waiting to be potted, and now he's got to sit back and watch Bedhead do the business. Yep. Back in those early days of the World Snooker Championship, it was Joe Davis that won the world title 15 times in a row and then retired. Mind you, there only was about 4 or 5 professionals at that time, but that was back also when they used to play the World Championship over a week. It was like the first to 100 odd frames. I'm beginning to show my age here. You guys are getting bored. What's this guy talking about? Well, that's a gilt edge opportunity blown there by Mr. Fox. It could have been back to within 2, and it's now going to stretch. Well, Google John Pillman. He ended up being a snooker commentator for a period of time in the sort of late 70s, early 80s, and then of course he passed away. But he certainly won his fair share of world titles. Well, the end result was always going to be that chance blown with a scratch by Mr. Fox, and Bedhead tidies up and takes the lead back to 4. P-U-L-L-M-A-N. Well, the top player in billiards was, what's his name, the Australian guy. He was the top man in billiards, although Joe Davis played it as well, but not to the same level as, I can't remember his name now. But there's a video on YouTube of him. No, that's not Eddie Charlton. Eddie Charlton, I think Eddie Charlton got to the World Billiards final once or twice as well. No, there's another. We're talking way back in the day, back in the like the 30s, back in Joe Davis's time. Oh, that'll annoy me to get to bed tonight. Joe Davis had a Walter Lindrum. That's the name. That's the one I was trying to think of. that's the guy that could do thousand run breaks or 1,000-point breaks and stuff. But that was really boring for people to watch, because all they do would play what they call nursery cannons, where you would have the 3 balls together, the 2 whites and the red, and you would run them around the round the outside of the table along the rail, and do a circuit of the table by just playing nursery cannons. And that's why they also then changed the rules of English billiards, as we call it. They changed the rules so that you can't keep playing cannons time after time. But it's more like a connoisseur's game, billiards. It's not a spectator sport, so to speak. It's I mean, you wouldn't take the kids to watch a billiards tournament because they'd fall asleep. But there's a guy that I follow on YouTube, and he does live snooker he streams live snooker tournaments, and he also streamed an English billiard tournament last year as well. I watched that. I was probably the one and only sad Virtual Pool 4 player who actually watched some live streaming of English billiards. So back to the match. It's 6-2 to Bedhead, but once again the mistake has come, and Mr. Fox has his opportunity. He's blown the last one. He's managed to get a rack on the board tonight, and he's got another rack on a plate here to be taken out. But the problem will be from that 7 down to the 8. If I'm right in thinking, if you look at if you can find statistics, I'm pretty certain that Eddie Charlton from Australia, or Steady Eddie as he was called, I'm pretty certain he got to about 3 world snooker finals and never won any, and I'm also sure that he got to the world billiards final certainly once or twice and never won it either. I could be wrong, but I might be right on that information. I mean, there's not been a lot of Australian snooker players around. Some snooker followers may remember that, I mean, after Eddie Charlton went out of the game, there was, for a period of time, the big Australian guy, John Campbell. He was about 6'6", and he actually was on the professional tour for maybe 2 or 3 seasons, and then he fell out the game. But by far and away the best Australian player there's ever been is Neil Robertson, head and shoulders above the quality of and the level that Eddie Charlton played to. Eddie Charlton was he had his own approach to the game. He never believed in playing the game with side. He was loath to use side when playing snooker. Well, Quinton Hand was a nutcase. That's the end of that conversation. That guy had serious problems. Well, it's 6-3 with a bit of assistance to give Mr. Fox that opportunity. He's had more than one opportunity so far. Yeah, but I mean, I remember just probably, I'm pretty certain he got banned from the game. He got kicked out of the game, but even prior to that, he was doing stupid things like coming to the table and breaking off by smacking in behind the reds and busting the reds open. I mean, you just do not do that in a professional game of snooker. I mean, you're just asking for serious trouble doing it, but that's the kind of crazy things he was doing. But I don't think he was very stable mentally, that bloke. Honestly, I think the pressure of the circuit and struggling like he was drove him into doing some stupid things. Oh yeah, I mean, I watched it in a tournament that was on the TV one time. He was just putting a bit of left hand side on the cue ball, breaking off the back rail and smacking into the back of the reds. I think he potted a ball on one occasion, but other than that, I think folk had serious concerns about his mental well-being, doing stupid things like that. Well, the 6th ball has gone in, but that's a missed call, and Mr. Fox at the table has a choice of playing from where it is or passing it back to bedhead. Now, looking at the two, that two will cut very thin, but you've got to try and get a bit of draw into this to avoid the scratch by hitting this plain ball. And then of course you've just got to ride your luck that you're going to get the cue ball somewhere that you can see the 3, because all you're trying to do is rescue yourself here. But it will cut. It's got to be really thin with a high risk of the scratch. And didn't quite get it thin enough. And of course the cue ball's finished right in line with the 2. The bedhead will have to deal with that 3. Now, can he kill that cue ball without it running away? I think he can, but he's going to have to kill it through a bit here if he wants to try and get I don't even think he can cut it from there. Looking at that, he would actually I think if he could pot it and be somewhere there, I don't think he can actually punch the 3 around the table either, because there's too much in the way. So he's going to have something to deal with here, and it's just going to be the little feather on the 3 and back across the table. Just try and tuck it behind the 8, or is he calling the bank? He's called the bank. And that's the missed call. And now, once again, well, there's been at least 3 or 4 assistances given by bedhead, and Mr. Fox is yet another one to get him back to within 2. And each time he gets these chances with the balls the way they are, he just simply has to take them out. He's wasted one, he's taken a couple of others, and he has to get this one done. Well, that's two straight, and now it's going to be the big draw, and it's going to be a nasty cut on this 8 ball. But it's all about the 8 ball. He's going to cut it off that side rail across to the opposite rail and back out. So it is all about the pace and controlling it well enough to leave him centrally on this 9 ball. If he goes way inside it, he's going to leave it very difficult, but he'll settle for that. Forward with maybe a wee tiny feather of inside left, just to make sure it straightens itself off that rail and comes up this left hand side. Well, he was only ever going to get back into this with some assistance, and he's been given it, and he's going to be back to within 2. And 2 balls in a break. There is a cut in the 1. But with the 2 ball being one of the balls that's gone, it's going to be extremely difficult to get on the 3. So rather than do that, he's played the safety. Now Bedhead looking at the gap, and the gap is there. This is going to get kicked in. Well, that is not a great safety with that gap in there, and he can find the gap as well to get on the 3 with the spin. So he's going to just maybe help it in, but he has to get out. Well, he's played that all wrong. I mean, to me, you play it off the rail with a wee bit of left, just so that when you hit it, and you play it gentle enough so that the spin will take you into the gap. Well, not very well executed, shall we say, but there also may well be a problem here to deal with. The 6 clearly goes into the corner, but as I say time and time again, that's provided you're here. Anywhere else on the table, forget it. So that 6 is the problem. And of course now Mr. Fox on the 5 may well have to kill the cue ball, and if he does, he will have that 6 as suggested. It will go, and where the 5 is, provided the cue ball's there or thereabouts, he can roll that 6 in. Now he has to go forward and judge the pace so that he can take the 7 into this left middle pocket. The 8 ball is going to brush towards the right middle pocket and may well go in. So he has to go through, but not too much pace. Well, he's digging down. He's played it well, he's held it, and he's sitting pretty good in the 7. I thought he would have just brushed through, but the plan B that he's played has worked reasonably well. But is he going to go wrong side of this 8? Well, that's actually not bad. He can just stun off it and he'll still be there. Well, Bedhead is going to have to shake himself here because it's been loose. There's been far too many errors and he's seeing his lead dwindle away, and Mr. Fox is back within 1. Two ball pushes the 3 and the 3 goes in. Well, there's the lucky breaks you need, and what's more, he has a shot in the 1, but I think if he was going to take it long into that corner, he might, I don't know whether he would struggle to get in the gap between the 6 and the 2 to play the 2, looking at that. And if he takes it into the middle, he's got a far better chance of running up the table, coming down past the 10 and playing the cut. Well, he thinks he can hold it, and well, he did get there, but I think the cut into the middle would have been pretty much a guarantee he was going to get there. And Bedhead, though, he's going to have to, he seems to be digging down as well. What's he trying? Well, he was trying the big draw, hasn't got there, but he's got his favourite shot. Very thin, and I don't think he'll even try this. He's got to try and just get this safe. He doesn't want the double kiss, though. Very thin, and try and get up by the 7. I think that's not bad. There's a shot there to entice Mr. Fox. If he gets it, he'll be unlucky not to be able to see that 4 ball as long as he gets the cue ball up the table. This is worthwhile spending a wee bit more time just getting yourself set. Now, can he avoid that 5 ball though? Can he get this clean and get up the table? And that will do. Needs to just slow up here. I think he's okay. And then again, yes, he can get there. So it's forward, side rail, top rail and out. And this is going to be, or it should be, all square. As long as he has, I think he's dead straight again. Yeah, he's just going to have to play it long. So straight through on this 7 and back up into the middle of the table for the 8 into the left middle. That should be the plan here. Now ideally he wants to keep running. He's the wrong side. He needed another 6 inches running on that cue ball and it'd have been perfect. So now he's going to have to go around the table. That will do. So now we've definitely got a match on, folks. Provided he can get on the 10. Nothing he needs to do though. Well, Bedhead started this session with a lead of 5 racks to 1. That rack is tilted severely, and from 5-1 in front, it's now 6 all, and Mr. Fox with the 2 and the 3 in the break, but no shot in the 1. And once again, playing the push out, but doesn't want to leave himself vulnerable to anything here, and he'll be put back in, I think. Well, Bedhead's thinking about it, but I wouldn't have thought that much. I would have stuck him back in. And that one will cut, so the safety hasn't been executed. Again, he needs to get into the cue ball here to avoid going near that corner pocket. Well, that kiss, the running's now helping Mr. Fox. And is it going to be a 7-10 combo? I think it may well be, but he's got the perfect angle to drop the 4 in and finish on this 5. Now, if you look at the 7 from this end, again, it's unlikely you're going to try and play position for the 7 and squeeze it past the 8 up into that corner pocket. You're more than likely just going to take your medicine and try and get up the table to leave that 7-10. How's that angle look? Well, that angle is perfect. I would be just putting a feather of inside on this just to make sure I get over to the left. Well, he's playing a draw, but going forward would get you closer to the mark, and I don't think that was the right shot. Oh shit, I'm forgetting about the 6 again. I've forgotten about the 6, guys. I'm falling asleep. I'm too busy concentrating on the 7 and forgetting about the 6, but he's now in a perfect position though. Just to get out, I need to go to bed. Well, would you believe it? Mr. Fox has got it all square, but Bedhead is doing his best to try and regain the lead here, and he should be out. So 7-6. That's well, it's the first rack that Bedhead's won in a while. Now, what went down there? Anything? No, it's dry. Well, the shot is there in the 1, and the 2 goes as long as you're sort of here. Well, even there, so there's a narrow gap, but he's missed the one ball. Got to get the first part of the equation done. Well, this is going to be painful for Mr. Fox if Bedhead can do a number on him here. Four ball is awkward, hiding behind the 10, and of course the 6 ball at the moment is a blocker, but that may well, well, it may well move, but then again it might not, and I don't think it will. I think he was just trying to do something there, although he didn't really need to, but he's got away with it. Now what's well, I was wondering what he was looking at, but not a difficult one to hit, and not difficult to leave it safe either if he just gets it dead weight. But if he doesn't disturb these and gets the hit like that, then there'll be no damage done, and that's not a bad result. And Bedhead can't escape from here because he's too tight to the 2. Oh dear. Oh, hi. Oh, it's worked out another poor one. And Mr. Fox should be ready to pounce, because all Bedhead has done is release all the problem balls and open the table right up for Mr. Fox to deliver and get the match back all square again. Pace offline, it's going to hit the jaws and it's going to rattle, so no sooner said than done. The chance has come and gone. And Bedhead can just chip it and just find that gap between the 7 and the 5. I don't see where the problem is here. It's just a little gentle push, cue ball back out. It's going to be a long 4 ball, but it shouldn't be any problem. I don't even think he has to bend that. Well, he's still there. Then again, I wouldn't trust my eyes. Well, this is, I was going to say, it's not a difficult 4. The difficulty's just controlling the cue ball, and that's not bad. It's pretty straight. But again, he'll just have to go through and leave the cut again on the 6. If you're not going to take any risks, he's going to have to do that. And now across the table twice, left, right, and back over. Well, I thought he could get there without having to spin it, but maybe he was doing it just as a precaution. Well, this is the one where that cue ball has to go right back towards us, unless he thinks he can just come across. I mean, if he digs in, he can draw this 7 ball in, but he's playing the safe way, just getting up the table. As soon as you start digging down and trying stuff, you always make the shot more difficult. So when the simpler option is there, that's what you should be taking. And Bedhead did that. And well, it's going to hurt. Mr. Fox rattled the ball in the pocket. Can't remember what ball it was, it doesn't matter, but the end result is full punishment, because getting back to 6-all, he's now having to chase again. Well, the big question now is whether Bedhead's going to find form and cut out these errors, because that's what's let Mr. Fox back into this match. Is he going to forge further ahead? And Mr. Fox has been presented with a dry break and a shot in the 1. Not pretty, but if he can get on the 2 somehow or other, maybe need a bit of luck here. Is he digging down to draw back? Maybe it's straighter than I think. Yep, that will do. Now he's in good shape. Now all the balls have a pocket. That 4 ball goes past the 8. Everything else is on. It's again just a simple story. For every time you have a table like this, you just have to join the dots, think about your way out, what your next shot is, what you're doing with the cue ball, and you'll get the job done. Everything will fall into place if you do it right. Oh, good evening, Slim. I never saw you there. Better late than never. Now that's the problem right there, that shot there, because immediately that ball has gone inside the 5. We have an issue in getting shape, and good shape, on this 6 ball. Because if you were to try and draw and stun, the 10 ball's probably in the way, and the 6 of course isn't going into the pocket you'd want to try and play it for, because the 8's a blocker. So there is a problem here. Now I like to be brave in these situations, so I would take the risk of going right hand English, cut the 5, punch the cue ball across, miss the 10 ball and come around for the 6. But that 10 ball would have been in a nasty position. But where he's ended up, well, let's just say he's got a shot, but he's going to have to get lucky hitting that 8. He's gone for the bank. Never even noticed he'd called the bank, but his chance is gone. And I think my shot had a better chance of getting shape, provided I could have avoided hitting that 10 ball up in that corner of the table. Now whenever you have an object ball like that, and then your next object ball to get is there, if you are inside, the one way to get there is to cut the ball, and when you're hitting the cue ball you play it with inside right English and punch it so that it hits that rail, and the English takes effect and punches you onto the rails around the corner and back down for this object ball. That would have got him there. It's a risky shot, but there are occasions where you have to take that risk, and for that matter, Bedhead is about to administer full punishment again. And that's 2 racks that have slipped away very quickly here, and Bedhead has regained the initiative. I didn't like the shot that Mr. Fox played there to get to that 6 ball, and once he ends up dead straight on it, he's immediately got himself in such a predicament, not only to try and get the cut in the 6, but to get lucky to have a shot in the 7. And getting lucky and relying on things happening isn't the way that you're going to win a match. You have to get that shape, and sometimes it calls for a risky shot to get better shape. The one I talked about was the risky one, but at a far better chance of getting a good line towards that next ball than the one that Mr. Fox tried. And so that's, well, Mr. Fox's recovery has diminished because Bedhead has stretched the lead, and it's now back to 3 racks. It's 9-6. Now, I don't think that's particularly great either. That is poor, because it's so easy to just get to the 1. That he should have had no shot in the 1 at all. He can actually just, well, he's actually calling the pot, but he can feather it and just come up the table. Even if he runs into those balls, he'll not leave the 1 on, but he might leave himself vulnerable to a lock-up safety. Well, he's gone all out for the cut. A good attempt at it, but here's the starter. And again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it's a great chance for Mr. Fox to reciprocate to Mr. Bedhead with the same punishment. The 1's on, the 2's over the left middle, the 3's wide open, everything's open. Well, the simple shot, just roll the 2, roll to the rail, 3 into the bottom right. You're not trying to be clever. Well, he's come out. As long as he's straight, he's fine. Again, it just makes it a simple shot. If anything, make sure you don't roll into the 10, close to the 10, or anything like that. Well, the line is good. Just roll it in. But he really must be well bottom side towards us for this 7 ball, and find that gap between the 7 and the 10 on this left rail. And the closer he can go to the rail, the simpler to drop that 7 in. Well, that'll be fine. That is perfect. Inside the 7 makes it simple. Just a little soft draw to kill it. And I would do everything to avoid the 9 here. I would get right into this cue ball. I don't want to be hitting the 9 whatsoever. I needed a bit more on it. He's got the spin. It's done the trick. And we'll give him this one. And it was vital that he took this out. Well, are we going to see a second recovery here from Mr. Fox? 10 ball goes in. At least he's going to have next shot at the table. 10 ball will get respotted and he's on the one, but he's going to have to take a risk here by going forward and around the angles. Now he may well come out to about here somewhere and end up with a highish cut in the two. Well, that'll do, that's worked out nice, got the weight pretty good, and he can pinch a slight bit of angle as well. Well, it's forward and around and out into the middle of the table again to get on the three the way I see it, but you can pinch that wee bit of angle to improve the situation. Well, he's wanting to run it into the middle pocket. Again, what I don't like about this is the cue ball's just running, and it doesn't guarantee you great position because you don't know what the cue ball might be hitting. Well, he's managed to hold it, I'll give him that one. I thought that was going to escape, but he's alright, and now he's got the angle to come across behind this 5. Well, he's checked the cue ball to come inside the 8 and 10. The problem now is this is going to be the big draw, and if he gets into it too much, we know where the middle pocket is. He's well away from that.